it's me, CheesyPaninie. I'm taking it a little easy with prompts on the second week as I search for jobs, so this video came out a little late. Today on the 8th prompt, we have our resident cute pupperoo, Shino. Who's this cute pupper, you might ask? This is actually not even my dog. This is actually Khaios' dog, who appeared multiple times on his stream and kind of became somewhat of a mascot on his videos and in Terratober. Whenever I get one of those bad days, Khaios would usually send me a video or a picture of Shino being cute or go on video call to let me see him. I'm gonna warn you guys now, I'm gonna be talking about my dogs, and I've had a lot of them, a lot of them over the years. There's gonna be kind of sappy and kind of sad stories about it, so yeah, you have been warned. I really wanted to show you guys pictures of all of them, but unfortunately my files are all over the place and I don't know where the others went, so I'll just be posting the ones that I do have on hand. Sorry about that. Anyway, my first dog that I remember was named Simba from The Lion King. I don't think he had a breed. I remember that he had brown, white, and black fur, and I think he was the one who chewed off my Barbie. I had another dog that was white, and I called him Brutus, after Popeye the Sailor Man's rival. Here's a little tidbit. So the big bully that Popeye always fights with was initially named Bluto, but after the series ceased production in 1957, they changed his name to Brutus because it was incorrectly believed that Paramount Pictures owned the name, but it was actually King Features who originally created him for the comic strip. So basically, because of copyright issues, Bluto, this big muscular man, turned into Brutus, which was drawn as obese. Eventually, they reverted the character back to Bluto around 1978, and are generally accepted as the same character. But on a 1988 Popeye comic, Ocean Comics presented the two characters as twin brothers. That tidbit is brought to you by Wikipedia. I don't actually know how accurate Wikipedia is, but yeah, that's what I learned about the characters. Anyways, going back, I think I had another white dog at the time, but I don't really remember the name. I do remember having a black cat named Polly and a white cat named Pocket, because when I was a kid, I was obsessed with the Polly Pocket franchise. And no, I wasn't talking about the ones with the dolls the size of your palm. I'm talking about the really small ones, the OG. Those were lots of fun, but definitely a scary choking hazard for kids, so I understand why they opted for bigger versions in the later years. Still though, those were really easy to put away and clean up, and you could bring them anywhere, when you have sleepovers or play dates, you could just put it in a bag and bring it over and stuff, all good fun. I actually have a really big Cinderella castle of that. I actually still have it. I am never gonna give this thing away. It's one of my most prized possessions. At some point, I also had a small black dog named Sakura that had a curly tail and loves to run around in circles. I named her after the anime cardcaptor Sakura, and I also had a Saint Bernard, which I wanted to name Shaoran or Lee because it was Sakura's partner, but ultimately I decided to name him Clifford after Clifford the Big Red Dog because I was a big Clifford the Big Red Dog fan. And then we got a Japanese Spitz that I named Fox because his face kind of looked like a fox. I had those 3 dogs for such a long time, and I remember trying to walk them to the park, but it was a little difficult for me because they weren't really trained and I don't have any idea how to train them, and they pull really hard, especially Sakura and Clifford. There was even a bunch of times that they got away and we had to chase them down the street. A couple of years later, when we decided to live with my dad's parents, we ended up adopting another dog named Quick Quick, which was named by my grandmother because he moved really quickly. And we also had a light brown dog named Ganda, which was the Tagalog word for beautiful. At some point, we also adopted another light brown dog, a Labrador, by the name of Lola, which was a little funny to me because the word Lola means grandmother in Tagalog in the Philippines. And one time my dad called me when he was at the province with my grandmother and asked how Lola was, and I thought he was talking about my grandma, so I said, I thought she was with you. And he's like, no, I was talking about the dog. She was a very sweet dog who loved to eat, but was really loud and barked a lot. One time, Dad kind of got annoyed at her for, I'm not sure if it was because she kept eating so much or if it was because she was being so loud. I don't really remember anymore, but she got really annoyed at her and gave her a big old loaf of bread to teach her a lesson. I don't really get the logic behind it, and I don't know why he thought that was gonna work, because she ended up eating half, took a break, and then finished the whole thing. Eventually, we moved house, and we had lost Sakura and Clifford and Quick Quick after a couple of years, and left Ganda with my grandparents. We were left with Lola and Fox. Dad eventually got us a Beagle Terrier mixed breed, and the previous owners called him Maggie because he liked eating Maggie noodles, which is probably really bad for dogs. He was a smaller dog and he was actually really fun to walk with because even though he still pulls like the other dogs, he wasn't as strong, so he can't just pull me around if he wanted to. I got along with him a lot, but at some point, as he grew older, he became a lot more hostile to me, and I'm not actually sure why. I don't think I did anything to make him angry at me or something. He's just become really quiet and kind of distant to people. And Mom said it was probably something to do with him getting older, but I'm not sure. But I did appreciate that at some point when one of our dogs was dying, and I was pretty much bawling my eyes out, he approached me and let him pet him that day. Though I would never forget that. Even though he had like mood swings and stuff, he was still a very good boy. I hated when dogs die. I mean, who does, right? Whenever I hear that one of them had died, I can't really bring myself to go out and look at them. I just kind of stay in my room and cry my eyes out. And this one dog, the one I pretty much bowled over, was a golden retriever named Sangster, who I named after an actor from Nanny McPhee. And it's not because I like the actor particularly, I just like the sound of his name. And he had a sister named Matilda, who I named after the movie Matilda. And the reason why I picked those two movies was because those were the two movies that me and my cousin watched over and over while she stayed with us during one summer vacation. Sangster really loved playing with the water in his water bowl, and I remember that among my dogs at the time, he was the one who really liked playing with that donut squeaky toy and often pushed Matilda away when he sees me because he wants my attention. Matilda, on the other hand, is pretty rowdy and is a little harder to train, but she was a really good girl and had the prettiest brown fur. Their death was a whole lot more painful for me because I used to play with them a lot. I fed them and raised them since they were puppies. We even got a trainer to train them so they were well behaved when we went out for walks. At some point though, Sangster got pretty sick and my parents told me I should say my goodbyes to him. aside from Fox, he was actually the only other dog that I got to say goodbye to when he was dying. And I was at least fortunate enough to be able to say my goodbyes, because with the other dogs, I kind of just woke up and someone just told me that they've died, you know? The very next day after that, he actually passed away. It's like he was just waiting for me to visit him at his doghouse. After a couple of months, Maggie eventually died as well from old age. And a couple more months after that, Matilda also left us because of another sickness. That wasn't a very good year for us when it came to dogs. They all died within a year or like 2 consecutive years. So it was a pretty dark time. The very last dogs I had were Langley and Georgia. I had Langley ever since he was a puppy, and we actually got him sometime before or after Sangster died. I don't quite remember. The first night, I had no idea what to do with him. I put him in the bathroom so he could poop and pee there with no problem. But he kept crying, so I ended up making him sleep on my bed, which was a terrible, terrible idea because he's really young and has never, ever had a bath at all. So you can only imagine the stink that was attacking my nose all night. I hardly slept that night. But it was kind of adorable, but also kind of annoying in a way to see him sleeping so soundly. I think I also had like work the next day, so it was a really tough night. I actually wish I knew how to train dogs to behave indoors and make them not pee or poop in the house or bite stuff. So I'd have a buddy in my room while I work or do stuff. We usually have them outside of the house in this large area at the side of the house with dog houses and a gate that prevents them from getting to the garden and another gate that prevents them from going to the outside kitchen at the back of the house. Georgia, on the other hand, was my auntie's dog who wasn't really treated very well. My dad noticed she seemed malnourished, and when my aunt had to rent a temporary apartment while their house was being remodeled, my dad took her in but refused to give her back because he was worried they wouldn't take care of her again. She was a little bit mean to our other dogs though, and Mom saw that she would frequently eat some of the other dogs' food when she's eaten all of hers. I'm honestly not that fond of her, but she was nice enough to let me pet her whenever I was around. At some point before COVID hit, the family situation led me to quit my job and live with my relatives in another city for 10 months. And in those 10 months, the 2 dogs were left to be taken care of and fed by a family friend. However, when we got back home, at some point, a family member took them away. I'm not gonna go deep into it, but it was tough. I mean, I'm not even the one who takes care of the dogs really. It was mostly my mom because they were too big, and when I tried helping one time, they kind of just jumped on me. So I don't feel like I have the right to complain about them not being there anymore, but I did watch at least one of them grow up, you know. So it's still kind of tough to look at their dog houses and just see it so lifeless and empty. I don't even know where they are now. I kind of just hope that they're being taken care of. It's been almost 2 years since I last had a dog. I don't think I'll get one anytime soon, but if I do get one, I would like to have a small to medium-sized dog that's not very loud and can possibly stay inside the house. That would be nice. We've mostly had like big dogs for several years, so it would be a change of pace. Anyways, I hope I didn't bum you guys out too much with this story about my dogs. I couldn't really think about anything else to talk about with this prompt, since the prompt is a dog, which is not really my dog. I can't really tell you any cool stories about Shino since I have never personally met him yet. But maybe someday. And I'm sure I'm gonna love him a lot. Give your pets a hug for me, would you? If they're not the type to like hugs, maybe a little pat or a treat. And there you have it. My entry for Terratober Day 8. Shino. Thank you guys for sticking through all the way. I know this was kind of a weird video. It's kind of more sherry than the other videos. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, please leave a like, comment what you think, and subscribe for more. And if you want to support me further, check out my Patreon, Ko-fi, Redbubble, or my commissions page on my site. But for now, I'm just gonna go do my thing, and you guys do your thing, and I'll see you guys later. Take it easy, stay cheesy.